Today I'm going to break down part of this strategy to how I'm able to earn over $20,000 a month in passive income with cryptocurrency. I believe that the crypto revolution is here. It is happening right now. We are witnessing history. We get to be a part of it. And I'm going to share with you in this video how you can navigate this crazy storm that we're in that I call the crypto revolution. Make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, we are a part of history right now, and most people are not aware of what's happening, but it plays out in our news headlines and our financial headlines every single day. Now, I follow it closely, so if you want to follow the same type of content, make certain you subscribe to the channel down below. And if you like what I'm giving you today, if you see this as a value, please do me a favor and smash that like button. Okay, first I want to explain to you a little bit about, so you can kind of see my background and where I come from. So, you know, early on in life, I grew up, we didn't have a whole lot growing up as a family, right? And somewhere about 19, 20 years old, I ended up walking down the road. I wrecked my car, didn't have a vehicle, walking down the road, and I'm thinking about what my life was going to look like. I was walking to the place I was living. I was sleeping on this family's couch. Well, at that moment, I was walking home from the community college because I had wrecked my vehicle, didn't have money to get another vehicle. Thankfully, they only lived like a mile or so from the community college. So I'm walking home, and as I'm walking home, something happens, and I start thinking about what I want my future life to look like. And I realized that even though I was going to school and I was going to have what was considered a pretty good career, I was never going to make enough money to be able to live a middle-class lifestyle without also having middle-class debt. Think about it. You think about how much money a house costs. And you know, if you're making a middle class income, let's just say in today's dollars, let's just say you're making $50,000 a year, and then you're going to buy a home, a middle class home. Well, that's depending on where you're at in America, that could be $300,000 to $500,000. You think about driving a nice car, something you would be proud of, something you want. You think about what that costs. Now you're looking at another $50,000 or more, and then you start thinking about, okay, I want to be able to retire one day. How much money am I going to need to retire? I went through all of this, and I realized that there was no way I could live a middle-class lifestyle with a middle-class job without also having a lot of middle-class debt. And I didn't want to be like so many other people in my family, living paycheck to paycheck, struggling just to make the bills. And I felt like, why do we live in a country that we still have the ability to make certain decisions for ourselves? Why do we have to make decisions that cause us to be stuck in this sort of a rat race? And I started looking for answers. And one of the first books I came across, Rich Dad's Guide to Investing. I didn't read the first one. I read this one first. In this book, one of the things he talks about, by the way, is he talks about looking at who makes the laws in society. And he talks about real estate investors, and he talks about business people, and he talks about how, there are laws that are a little bit more friendly to real estate investments, for example. And he says why, and he talked about, look at the lawmakers, how many of them own real estate. And that's when I first started looking at the bias that existed inside of our society. And then a little bit later, I had someone tell me, they said, don't you understand, our financial system is designed to keep you in debt? And I said, why does that have to be the case? How come we can't all get out of debt? And I'll never forget what this gentleman told me. He said, don't you understand, if everybody paid off their debt, the entire world economy would collapse. Now, I didn't understand that. That sounded shocking. And it made no sense to me at all until I ended up watching this documentary right here. By the way, this is on my channel. I talk about this often. Very few people ever watch it. Imagine if you borrowed money to buy a car. If you could take out a loan to buy a car, then all of a sudden more people can buy cars because they can borrow money and buy cars. Then the car manufacturer can make more cars. They're going to spend more money getting steel. And guess what? If they're making more revenue, they can even borrow money to get more steel to make more cars. And then if they're going to make more cars, they're going to have to hire more employees. And those employees are going to now be earning a good income stream. And if they want to go take out a loan to buy a house, since they have a good income stream, the bank's going to probably loan them the money to go buy a house. And as you can see, debt stacks on top of debt stacks on debt. And that's before we ever get into some of the rules of banking. You end up with this big debt bubble, and it's not easy to deflate the bubble. In fact, if you watch this video, money as debt is very easy to understand. So the ones I realized, okay, the laws are obviously biased by those responsible for writing the laws. Our current debt system is a debt-based system, and one of the things that you'll realize is that eventually the debt bubble can't expand forever. It just can't. And as long as you're a part of that debt bubble, your wealth, you're always having to outrun something called inflation, right? So I knew that there had to be something better, and that's when I started hearing about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And it made sense to me early on. Bitcoin was a non-inflationary asset, and we're going to have to get off of the current economic system that we're in. So when I realized we needed to find another asset, of course, there's always silver and gold. It's always been there. The challenge of silver and gold, right, is it's not easily transferable. It's not digital. We're in a digital economy, period. End of story. So then it became a matter of, okay, so how can I invest into this stuff, and what can I do with it? And you start getting into Bitcoin, and price goes up, price goes down. What do you do with it? You're just holding it. You're waiting for the inevitable. Very similar to some of the gold bugs. You know, they're buying up gold with all their spare cash, but what are they doing? They're just holding it, waiting for the inevitable. And then I started learning that you can earn a passive income in cryptocurrency, and that is where everything started to change. And if you want to track my progress of earning passive income, one of the things you can do is subscribe to the channel. I put up videos right now about once a month. I just put up a video recently for the month of February. You can go watch that video if you would like. But I understood that earning passive income was very important, but it was the strategy that you used to earn passive income, and you had to pay attention to the fundamentals that were going on with cryptocurrency around the world. Now, keep in mind, we have cryptocurrency that at its core, Bitcoin, people can't control Bitcoin. Like the government can't control Bitcoin. Yet the government is putting out regulations right now, and Bitcoin prices are going up. Now, this is where you got to be aware of what's going on in the greater market. If you understand that our current economic system requires debt, going to a decentralized cryptocurrency like Bitcoin doesn't allow us to have a full debt-based financial system like we have right now, then you have to ask yourself, why is Bitcoin going up 9%? Because President Biden announced his executive order on cryptocurrencies. What's going on here? Let's take a look at this really quickly, because most people in crypto thinks this is incredibly positive, and I agree in the short term it is. And I have an investment strategy. The one that I use is designed to take advantage of these short-term fluctuations. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies were higher on Wednesday after President Joe Biden announced his highly anticipated executive order on digital assets. Bitcoin was trading at 42,000, around 8% at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time, according to data from CoinDesk. Other cryptocurrencies, including Ether, were also sharply higher. Biden's executive order attempts to address the lack of a framework for the development of cryptocurrencies in the U.S., which critics say could leave the country's industry behind the rest of the world. So a lot of people saw this executive order as a good thing because it was showing that they weren't coming out to ban it. In fact, they were trying to create positive regulations for cryptocurrency. People are mistaking this as they want to see Bitcoin do well. I'm skeptical because I believe, again, laws favor those who write those laws, and it is in the best interest for those who write laws to write laws that are favorable to our current banking system. And overwhelmingly, most of our current banking system is based on a debt-based economy that needs that bubble to continue to expand. So then you start thinking about that, and you're like, okay, so what is going on here? I want to show you this story right here. This is an incredible story. This news article came out a few days ago. This guy, Zoltan Pozsar, however you say his name, this gentleman is insider of an insider. This guy used to work at the Federal Reserve in New York. In fact, he was there during the whole financial collapse, the whole 9 yards. So this isn't like some pro-Bitcoin guy. This isn't some pro-freedom guy. This is a mainstream insider sharing his thoughts. Now he works for Credit Suisse. And here's what he says. Credit Suisse strategist says, we're witnessing birth of a new world monetary order. Money will never be the same again after the Ukraine war, writes Zoltar, and Bitcoin may be a beneficiary. So he's talking about what's going on right now. I call it the crypto revolution. What is happening right now that could affect our current financial system? The former Federal Reserve and U.S. Treasury Department official and now Credit Suisse short-term rate strategist Zoltan Pozsar has written the U.S. is in a commodity crisis that has given rise to a new world monetary order that will ultimately weaken the current dollar-based system, you could say current debt-based system, and lead to a higher inflation in the West. The crisis is not like anything we have seen since President Nixon took the U.S. dollar off the gold standard in 1991. Again, President Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. At that moment, literally that year, we started becoming a debt-based society right then. Negotiated by 44 countries as World War II was winding down, the Bretton Woods Agreement, named for the conference location in Bretton Woods, pegged gold as the basis for the U.S. dollar, with other currencies then pegged to the greenback, meaning the greenback being the dollar. This structure began to fray in the 1960s as the U.S. trade deficits became too large to ignore, meaning the U.S. government could not pay back their debt. That's what that means. And it fell apart completely in 1971 when the U.S. abandoned the link between the dollar and the gold. When this happened, the U.S. was then allowed to start printing more dollars. As the initial Bretton Woods era, 1944 to 1971, was backed by gold, and Bretton Woods II, backed by inside money, essentially U.S. government paper money, said Pulsar. Bretton Woods III will be backed by outside money, gold and other commodities. Pulsar marks the end of the current monetary regime as the day the G7 nations seized Russia's foreign exchange reserves following the latter invasion of Ukraine. What had previously been thought of as a risk-free became risk-free no more, as non-existent credit risk was instantly substituted for very real confiscation risk. Now, this is what's interesting. Most people don't pay attention to this. Listen, I'm totally against what Russia's doing, the whole 9 yards, but this made the hair on the back of my neck stand up when I read this. When they went in and essentially took money from Russia. Now, we're not talking about just put sanctions on. We're not talking about, say, no longer buy oil. We're saying Russia had an asset they owned that was outside of their system, outside of their banking system, and was part of the international system, which was previously thought to be their asset that nobody could touch, as they quote unquote owned it, and then it was suddenly confiscated. This was the first time in history this has happened. Most people are not even talking about it, but I'm talking about it on this channel. And this is important for us. Why? Because you don't have your dollars, your money in your bank account in your control. You have it in the bank. Now, and by the way, even if you had it in control, it doesn't mean that they can't inflate it away, as is currently happening right now. I want you to understand something. Because of what is happening, because this is happening, it's creating incredible opportunity right now that we can take advantage of. So he goes on to say, what occurred surely isn't lost on China, Pulsar sees. The People Bank of China faced with two alternatives to protect its interest: either sell treasury bonds to buy Russian commodities, or do its own quantitative easing, print renminbi to buy Russian commodities. Pulsar expects both scenarios means higher yields and higher inflation in the West. Pulsar concluded his note with a comment about Bitcoin. He expects it to benefit, but only if it still exists. This is important. He expects it to benefit only if it still exists. Now, of course, it will still exist. But what's happening right now is governments want to stop it. They want to use their own digital dollar, known as the Fed coin in the U.S. There's over 100 different countries working on a centralized digital dollar specifically for their country. Now, this is not a cryptocurrency in the sense, they call it crypto, but it's not a cryptocurrency in the sense of Bitcoin. Now, why is he saying Bitcoin could benefit? Because it is a digital currency that cannot be inflated. However, when we see this right here, why in the world may Bitcoin be up by 9% right now on this announcement if the government wants to control it? Because investors don't understand what's happening, or they're just simply taking it at face value. At this point in time, it's not negative on Bitcoin. They're saying we need to create a framework for all cryptocurrencies. Now, that framework, I can almost promise you, remember, the person who writes the laws, the people who write the laws or the regulations are biased based on what's in their personal interest. With that being said, it is the U.S. government is working on a central bank digital dollar. Don't confuse this with Bitcoin. Now, even this is happening. I'm telling you right now, as a cryptocurrency investor, we have an incredible benefit because this is happening. Like things, it's creating volatility. We can capitalize on that volatility right now. The government is working on their own central bank digital dollar because they can control it. They can stop you from using your currency, or they can stop some bad actor, someone they deem as a bad actor, from using their cryptocurrency. They can censor their version of a cryptocurrency. And there's proof of this right now. We have issues right now in cryptocurrency. We have issues right now in decentralized finance. All you have to do is come take a look at this article right here. NFT marketplace OpenSea confirms it will block accounts hit by U.S. sanctions, receiving debate over how decentralized blockchain really is. Those of us that believe in decentralized ecosystems, like myself, I believe decentralization creates more individual freedom for the average person. Down here, two major players in the booming decentralized internet space: Ethereum wallet, MetaMask. This shocked me. I use MetaMask all the time. Ethereum wallet MetaMask and digital art marketplace OpenSea confirmed they are blocking and deleting accounts based in countries sanctioned by the U.S. Now, why is this happening? Well, these entities currently are businesses, and these businesses have to comply with laws. It's very possible that they're getting pressure from the U.S. government to be able to block these accounts. They mentioned Venezuela. They don't say who else. I could assume it's probably Russia. Now, here's the challenge. This means that the U.S. government and the powerful interests that it chooses to work with and protect, and those who are most going to benefit from that are the government. Even though here it looks like it's positive, here it looks like they're exerting their control. I would say this is a negative news. The challenge is crypto is always evolving. We need to get more decentralized, in my personal opinion. Like fundamentally, I want to see much more decentralization taking place. I want to see people in crypto are always like, I want to know who the company founders are. I don't give two craps who the company founders are, because I believe in with true innovation and true decentralization, we need to have founders that people don't know. We need to have the anonymous types. What anonymous is for crypto hackers, we need those same type of people working inside the crypto ecosystem, which, by the way, is where Bitcoin originally started in the first place, that same type of cypherpunk ecosystem. That's what we need in crypto. We don't need docs devs and large businesses running crypto, because they're always going to have to comply with government regulations. Okay, so here's the question. Understanding right now that we're going to see this jockeying back and forth. We're going to see a battle of centralized versus decentralization all the time. You and me can't stop that. We can root for one side or the other side to win, hands down. We can always say, I want decentralization to win. I want this to win. However, here's what we need to understand. This space is incredibly volatile, and the way that we make money in this space is we have to focus on decentralization of what we're doing. I don't mean decentralizing and I got Bitcoin, I got Ethereum, I got Ripple. No. I'm saying decentralized in various projects. We need to hit multiple spaces. Think about the play to earn space is going to be one space, for example. The online gaming space is going to be another space, for example. Maybe NFTs for you is another space, for example. Maybe also holding some Bitcoin is another space. Here's another thing. Look for passive income assets. Why? Because if the market goes up, the market goes down, you're still earning a passive income. Even if your income stream goes up and down, you don't have to sell your underlying asset. That is incredibly important. Now, a lot of people say, I don't know where to start. I don't know where to begin. Listen, you start and you begin watching videos just like this. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel. You start and you begin by following influencers, following people who are already active in the space. Someone like me, I spend 2 to 6 hours on any given day just staying up on the crypto space, partially because I make videos for this channel, videos like you're watching right now. The other thing that you can do, become a part of Telegram groups, active Telegram groups on specific projects. That's one way you can kind of sort of stay in the know, if you will. I have a Telegram group. I'll invite you to join it. It's basically just a social community. That's it. I'm not going to tell you you're going to find out anything extraordinary in there, but you'll hear people talking and sharing ideas. I'll put a link in the description to that Telegram group. You can definitely join us. It's a new group. We only got just under 200 people in there right now. Come join us if you would like. If you socialize, if you just put yourself in an environment where you're getting exposed to this content, you're going to develop ideas that you may want to invest in, projects that you may want to invest in. And then it's a matter of going a little bit deeper. Now, I'll do a video if you want me to later. Let me know in the comments. I can do a video of talking about doing a deep dive on how to research projects and what I feel like you want to look at, because there's different types of projects that you want to invest in. There's different ways to research those projects. If you're trying to research a brand new innovation, something that Cardano is going to do, or some other cryptocurrency is going to be totally new onto the scene, and you want to research that, there's one way to do that, versus if you're researching some sort of NFT micro investment, there's a different sort of way to research that project as well. And it also depends on whether you're looking for a long-term or a medium-term asset that you're looking to invest in. Listen, if you want to know exactly what my investment strategy is, I'm working on something right now. I'm going to put together a complete framework, if you will. I'm going to do an entire training, and I'm going to set it up, and I'm going to make that available for my newsletter subscribers. So feel free to go down and subscribe to our newsletter down below, our Crypto Passive Profits newsletter. So I think there's 2 fundamental factors that you need to do anytime you're investing. We're really 3. One is you need to be paying attention to the news. You need to recognize that just because something looks positive in the short term doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be positive in the long term, such as this news story right here. No matter whether the news is good or bad, you have to know that you have an investment plan that is diversified, that is kicking off passive income in cryptocurrency, that you can either turn into US dollars to hedge part of your crypto risk if you want, or you can reinvest it in other areas that are earning passive income. Listen, I want you to understand, so a lot of people get started, they say, I don't know where to start, or I don't have a lot of money to get started. It doesn't take a lot of money to get started in crypto. It is true. Crypto is very risky. This is not financial advice, but you need to make certain that you have some sort of capital that you can use, some sort of money that you can use that you're okay with potentially losing it. Like, nobody wants to lose money, but you have to know that you're using money that you could potentially lose, because the best projects on the world, the best cryptocurrency projects are far more riskier right now than any sort of, stock market investment, for example. So you need to understand that it just takes a little bit. You don't need to have a lot. I started just a couple of years ago. When I realized this, I literally had, because of a bad investment that I had made, or an investment that looked good that went bad. I'll share that story another time if you want to find out about it. But I realized that I needed to do a couple of things. I needed to diversify, first of all. And the second thing that I realized, I made my decision. You know what? I had just a few $100s. I was going to start there. And I was just going to start, bootstrapping it. And I was going to follow a set of principles and a set of rules that I created for myself, my own framework, if you will. And that has allowed me to get to the point where today that I'm, anytime I see a new investment, my starting amount is about $5,000, not a couple $100s. But maybe for you, you're starting out with a couple $100. Then at some point, maybe you're going to be, going into a new investment with $1,000, and eventually it might be $2,000. Who knows? It might be $5,000, might be $10,000. One day you may be in a place where it's like, I see a new investment, I'm going to put $20,000, $40,000, $50,000 into it, and that's just a fraction of my overall crypto portfolio, and your crypto portfolio is a fraction of your overall investment portfolio. That can happen in cryptocurrency. I promise you, because I'm a testament of that. But you got to have a framework that works for you. So keep yourself diversified. Always be doing research. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. The crypto revolution is here. We are seeing the greatest transfer of wealth that has happened in our lifetime. We are seeing an incredible evolution in our monetary system and in our technological systems. Thank you so much for watching. Decentralized cryptocurrency equals freedom. This is Crypto Wealth. I'm out.